You should be unmuted, Debbie.
I am, thank you. All right, well, Happy New Year's, everybody. Here we go again. And here we still are on Zoom, and looks like we'll be there for a while. We're committed through certainly through February and March, and then we'll reassess come March what we're going to do in April. But we have 3 people on the line that have been sick recently with COVID, so obviously it is still an issue for getting infected, although it's good to know that nobody got super sick. Got a bunch of business today, and I think that Vicki and Joe's presentation, they're going to be talking tonight about creating panoramic image. But it won't be a very long presentation because we do have a lot of business we have to cover because this is the first meeting of our year. I do not see any new members, so we can skip that part. So tonight we're going to do announce the image of the year. We're going to talk about the order of contests for next year, the topics, our speakers. But first, I do have some sad news, and I don't have Mary Ann on the phone tonight. But Mary Ann, who's our secretary, her mom passed away just before Christmas. Mary Ann's the one who sends you your award certificates and has been our secretary. And no, it was not COVID. For anyone who is interested, there is a viewing in Old Bridge next Wednesday and a church service the following day. And I do have the information, so if anybody would like to go to either of those, please get in touch with me and I'll give you the information. Couple announcements. Yesterday, I sent out an email that I just want to point out to you regarding an open position with former member Judy Dinnerman, who has a pet photography studio in New Hope, and she is looking for a part-time photo editor, if anyone is interested. And also the Friends of Abbott Marsh in Bordentown have reached out to us. They are having a contest and an exhibit at their center. Friend Abbott Marsh is in combination of Bordentown, and then there may be a piece in Hamilton as well. And we very much to participate in that contest and show. The deadline is April 22nd. That's when it closes. It's $30 for up to 3 entries and $5 for each additional entry. And you initially send in your photos by email, and that are accepted. You'll need to deliver a physical framed print to them on, I think it's the end of April. They have offered to do a walk just for our club to show us places to photograph in Abbott Marshland. So I would like to ask each of you on the phone if you would have any interest in doing, and obviously it's got winter because, you know, if this contest ends in April, that means by March we have to be out there. So if you have any interest in maybe going a little field trip, if you can just put it in the chat and I'll take your name down, and if you're interested, I'll get in touch with you. And also on the same topic, on January 31st, our own Terry Donofrio is going to be doing a presentation for Abbott Marshland on choosing images and pairing images for exhibition and editing techniques and wildlife photography and so forth. A lot to do, and that is by Zoom, and it is on the Abbott Marsh website. So if you're interested in attending, you can go to the website, or I'm sure you can get in touch with Barry and he can let you know. I believe it's in the evening. Dues are due for everyone. So they're unchanged from last year. Still 48, family membership is 80. You can either go on site and pay via PayPal, or you can send a check to Linda, and that address is also on the website. Officers next year, we'll do that now. Other than Joe Gilchrist joining and taking over from Will as webmaster, officer committee members are going to remain unchanged. No one ran or expressed interest in any of those positions. We will ask Mary Ann if, when she gets back, you can please just certify and approve the slate of officers. That's all that needs done. I do want to announce some other good news besides Joe Gilchrist taking over as webmaster. Rose Scuderi is going to be our assistant master. So that's great news. Rose actually has web experience. She said back in the days when you had to do everything coding, which on our website some of it you have to do by coding. So we welcome and thank Rose for stepping up. And because this is the first year, I really need to take some time here, and you need to just bear with me. We really need to say thank you to a lot of people. And at the very top of that list is a big shout out to Will Cook, who spent, did we figure out how many years as webmaster? Let's see. Hold on. Since 2016, but 5 years as our webmaster. Big job. Probably one of the biggest jobs in the club, one of the most time-consuming and skill-related jobs in the club. And we just thank Will very much. Not only did Will take care of the website, but he also was very good at saying, hey, it's to be done and it's time for that, and we have to post this and don't forget about that. So he really went above and beyond and just did a super job. And Will, thank you very much. Also, thank you, Linda and Tom, our treasurers, Matt, our VP, with VP and also gallery shows, although we didn't have any this year, and technical expertise. Marion Martin as secretary, and then we're lucky. We have Lynn did a wonderful job with getting judges this year. This past year, I think you'll all agree, we had some great judges. And Valerie, absolutely wonderful speakers this year. Everyone went above and beyond. It was really a great year. Melinda as our PSA chair, and Terry as our NJFCC chair, and also Terry as well as Valerie as past presidents, as Vicki Eco as past presidents, who really stepped up this year and did a lot of different things for the club. Vicki and Terry together have run our fundraiser, and Vicki was always there. We needed a flyer made for one of our speakers or anything along those lines. We always her and count on Terry for a lot of really good advice and good work on everybody's part. So thank you. We're looking forward to another really good year. If anybody wants to step up and help with anything, there's always jobs to be done. We can always find you something to do. So if you're interested in getting more involved, just let us know, and we absolutely will find something for you to do. There's always something going on. I don't know if you can just unmute Terry and Melinda. Do either of you have anything PSA or for NJFC?
Valerie, can you unmute them?
Melinda, shaking your head. Okay. Matt, if you just unmute Melinda and Terry.
Yeah, give me 1 second. While
Okay.
this is flipping through the screen, I can't do anything. So,
I asked him to unmute, so
Oh, okay.
okay. Thank you,
there we
Valerie.
go. I can't unmute them and unmute me at the same time.
Do you have, thank you. Thank you. I don't even see Terry now. Oh, there he is.
Terry, I
Terry,
think-
do you have anything for
No, I had sent you an email.
NJFC?
There's photos due on the 23rd for the NJFCC winter, but I'm going to send out an email on that. We have too small an audience at these meetings, so I want to touch everybody. So I'll send out an email blast. And April
Okay.
8th, I believe, it's also in the email, is Photorama if you want to start thinking ahead. And the third thing I want to mention is, we just got done postponing the date for our gallery show at the Monroe Library. That's that huge rotunda, that beautiful place. So they moved it 1 year to next November and December. They accommodated us. They're getting busy again. So that's the final move. We got to take those 2 dates next year, November and December 2022. That's a big gallery. It takes at least 80 photos, can go up to 100. So start now thinking about, getting photos printed. There's no theme. It's just show your best photos. We've had a lot of new people win first, second, or third at competitions, best of show. Those are perfect for getting them framed and be ready to put them into the show, because we're going to need at least 80 or more photos. And that's about it.
And to add on to what Terry's saying is 80 or more of all different sizes.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think that, yes, and I think, Matt, we also had an invitation from Plainsboro. I don't know if we've talked to them about a date for that yet.
Yeah, I replied back to her. She never replied back. So I guess I'm gonna have to look through and find her email again. We also do have the Gorgon coming up. I think that was April. I'll have to check that and make sure, but we should be back in that gallery right there at the church. So right in town at the municipal building.
Okay. Melinda, anything from PSA, deadline, anything you want to tell us about?
Not really. I did send out that email last week congratulating Susan Lytle for her award of merit for her Vixen and Kit image, along with the results from the first round for Group A. So the website is open to submit pictures for the second round and the third round. And I think the cutoff date was February 15th. I don't remember now. I'm trying to find it on the website, but I can send out a reminder when the deadline is for the second round. But that's about it.
Okay, terrific. If anybody has anything else, raise your hand, chat, and Valerie will make sure I call on you, including Valerie. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to Matt, who has the honor of talking about topics next year and sing the best of the year for this year.
Yeah, as you can see, I have a slideshow going on. That was all of the images that were awarded Best of Show for 2021. And I will turn this off because I'm sure everybody's seen it by now. And we will show you what the best of year actually was. which is this one. This is the best of the year,
Wow.
and it is Debbie's image.
Well, thank you, everybody. Wow, thank you.
Church greeters, it was
I'm
called.
glad you like that.
So that turned out to be the best of the year. Congratulations,
Thank
Debbie.
you.
You didn't thank yourself in that,
Thank you.
which, yeah, you do a great job as the president, so you deserve a little bit of recognition as well.
Thank you,
next-
Matt.
Next thing
I
is,
try.
get rid of that. Too many windows open. All right, here we go. Topics for next year. I can get rid of this window. So here are the topics for competition themes for 2022. January, that's coming up 2 weeks. And obviously altered image. It's very simple. It could be just an image that's turned black and white. That's as simple as it needs to be. Obviously, you took it, it was in color, you turned it black and white, that's obviously altered. You can go more challenging than that if you'd like, but that's as simple as it has to be. February is going to be arch or arches. March is going to be panoramas. If you don't know how to do panoramas, you're in luck tonight because Vicki and Joe are going to show you different ways with software that you probably already have. And Vicki has found free software that you can use that works pretty well as well. So there's nothing that you have to buy to do that topic. April's going to be church windows. May is bridges. June, no hand-to-man. So you got to make sure that it's got no fence posts or a road or a building in it. None of that stuff is allowed. No hand-to-man. September is going to be markets, basically like a flea market or a vegetable market, something similar to that is basically what that topic is. October is color landscapes. November is going to be broken down, so like abandoned or lost, missing, broken down items, something like that. December, make your photo not a photo. You'll have to read the description on the website when we get that up, which should be soon. I believe Joe is working on them now. So hopefully all those descriptions will be up soon. And that is all I have for us.
Okay. Matt, next month's topic, the obviously altered image. Just to remind everybody, because we have people with different levels of skills, and certainly you can alter an image using many different softwares, Photoshop, Photoshop Elements, the Topaz, the Nik collections. So it's going to be your chance to play a little bit with your software and see what you can do. Take an image that you have and change it in some way. So, enjoy, have fun with it. It can be as simple as converting your image to black and white. That would be considered altered. It can be oversaturating, undersaturating, changing colors, making it look wild. Lots and lots of ways to do. Oh yeah, and John just said in the chat, Snapseed, for those of you who like to edit on your phones or your what do you call them? App devices, your pads. Doesn't have to happen. So have fun with it. I think it's be a fun topic. Okay, who is going first? Is Vicki going first?
Vicki's going first.
Vicki, are you going first? Or is Joe going first? Who's going first? Okay. Terrific.
Deb,
If you can unmute Vicki, I
Deb?
like to read her bio. Yes.
Deb, Can you hear me? It's Valerie. Can I
Yes,
just chime in real
Val.
quick? Um,
I can.
I have all
Sure.
the speakers except for one. I'm still working on February. But I have 2 people in a pocket for that. But I want to mention one for March. Our speaker will be on an off week because she's part of a camera club that meets the same night that we meet. So she's going to meet, we're going to meet the week before on March 2nd instead.
Okay,
And that may or may not be the case for our February
Okay.
speaker because the speaker in February is the one I'm trying to get is in the UK. And obviously 8 o'clock here is 11 o'clock there. So it'll be a little late for him to try to join us then. But I should have that settled in the next couple days or so.
Okay.
All right. And-
so we would have to do something early in the day, which means we'd probably have to move to a weekend.
I asked him to
Is
move
that
to
what
the
you're thinking,
weekend.
Valerie?
Yeah, and then he said he could still do like 8 o'clock at night on a Saturday. I'm like, nobody wants to do that. So I'm looking for an earlier time on the Saturday. So does anybody have any questions or
Okay.
so?
But it'll be on again.
Yeah, if we can make it happen, it'll be on the weekend.
Okay, yeah, Bill just said 8 PM here is 1 AM there.
Yeah.
Is he that late go to bedder?
Well, on a weekend, he's not, he's okay with that, but during a week, no, because he has to work the next day. So, but I still want to get it done early. I didn't think anybody would want to have a meeting on Saturday at 8. So I'm trying to push the time up.
No, so yeah, like Rose was just saying, maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that on a Saturday.
Yeah,
So we don't take up the whole day, but he doesn't have to go to bed in the, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning in his time.
yep. Okay,
Okay.
that's it. I'm sorry, I just got my computer
So
up, so I
we'll
didn't
just
see your email.
keep touch on that, and Joe and, okay, good. Yeah, and Joe, will obviously have to let everybody know, and Joe and Rose will need that for the website. All right. Okay, Vicki. I
Yes.
would like to talk about Vicki. We all know Vicki, but there's a lot that you may not know about Vicki. Vicki is a fine art photographer, and she is a Photoshop instructor. She's an Adobe certified expert in Photoshop CC, and she holds a digital art certificate from Brookdale Community College. Her work's been accepted in many juried and art and photography shows in Central Jersey, Pennsylvania, and she's had awards and recognitions in many. She's an exhibiting member of the Guild of Creative in Shrewsbury, New Jersey, and was honored with the Best in Photography medal at their October juried show in 2014. She received first and third place for monochrome at the annual jury photography show at the Ocean County Artists Guild in June 2017. She volunteers in the world of photography, past president of Mom of Camera Club, New Jersey Federation of Cameras, and the Cranbury Digital Camera Club. And she is currently vice president of the River Point Photography Club. She teaches Photoshop to groups from around the state of New Jersey as well to private clients. In 2017, she received the NJFCC Citation Award, which is their highest award to photographers who give back to the photography community. And her motto is, the purpose of life is to share your gifts. And she does indeed do that, Vicki. We appreciate it. So we're going to turn this over to Vicki now. Show us panorama and I guess in Photoshop.
All righty. Matt, did you give me the ability to share the screen?
I made your co-host, so you should be able to share.
Okay. Okay, all right. Before I do that, I just want to give a little bit of information. When you're shooting for panoramas, if you're not taking your cell phone and going like this, and you're actually using your camera, set your camera to manual mode, because if you set it to one of the other modes, things will change during your shoot. Shoot in RAW for more dynamic range. Set your ISO and your f-stop so the images won't change throughout the shoot. Auto settings can make your images not match up in color and in focus. Turn your camera to portrait orientation. So if you're shooting for a panorama and you're shooting like this, you're going to have a very long, narrow photo. If you shoot like this, you're going to have more real estate at the top and the bottom. You still have to overlap the images by about 25%. So when the merge works, it has something as a reference. You can do handheld, and I'm going to show you some of the results of handheld. The ideal way is to put your camera on a tripod and rotate it around the nodal point, which is where the back of the lens is at the sensor. And that gives you less distortion. But this was more important in the past because now the software is amazing. And that's about it. And oh, by the way, Valerie's monitoring the questions. So if there are any questions, interrupt me and I'll answer them. So let me get to my screen.
So,
Right.
Vicki,
Yes.
there's one comment that people should also make sure they don't have a polarizing filter on.
Oh, okay. I never thought of that because I don't use one. Got that. Everybody heard that, I'm sure. Let's see. We're going to go to the bridge.
Thanks, Linda.
All right. I'm going to share the whole screen.
One more thing, Vicki, while you're sharing your screen.
Yeah.
Can you explain again? Oh, wait a minute. I lost my chat. About what you meant by setting the camera on the tripod and rotating it.
Okay. If there are, all right, first of all, there are special tripod heads for panoramas. And those tripod heads will help. You need to identify where the nodal point is, which is where the light hits the sensor. And if it rotates on that point, you won't get any distortion of the image. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but what happens if somebody doesn't have a tripod that's...
Well, that's what I said. I shoot handheld.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know why this is not, okay. So this, I want to go here. Okay, I'm going to make a first panorama. And I'm going to use Adobe Camera Raw, and then I'm going to do it in Photoshop. And let me get rid of that. Okay. The first one, this one is just 3 images, and these were shot properly because I got these from a class. So this was shot with a a drone, actually. So I'm going to open them in Camera Raw, all 3 images. And then I'm going to select all 3. And then I'm going to right click on one of the images in the film strip and merge to panorama. The first time I did this, this was checked. Fill edges. And the fill edges wasn't the ideal way. It is, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. What that does is it uses content aware. But if you look at the last building over on the right and up here in the original image, this building is fatter and it's changed the aspect of it and it's just offish. So that bothered me a little bit. So what I did was turned off the fill edges. And this I think is so cool. If you get boundary wrap, take it up to 100% and you're stretching your pixels to fill the frame. Then you can apply auto settings. So it's a little bit better and you could still do more adjusting afterwards. So for that one, that's, I would say merge. Go ahead and merge it. And then what it'll do is it'll give you another one open in Camera Raw. And you can see that let me go to 100%. And it did, there's no distortion at the edges. That's still a little blown out, but that's what you're going to be adjusting for later. I don't think there's any real distortion in any of this, and it works. So now if you wanted to do this in Photoshop, you select the 3 images and open them in Photoshop. Then you go to edit. No, sorry. File, automate. Merge, photo merge. And I just do auto. File. Oh, add open files. So they're all 3 there. And this is where you get to see how it works. So what you've got is 3 layers and you've got masking. And the masking helps to make the transition better. These are kind of weird, but take the crop tool. And I would bring it into there. Actually, no. You know, I didn't do this one in this. So I would actually go and hit Control T. Oh, wait. Control T. Oh, wait, no. I can't. I have to make it all a new layer there. Now I'm going to hit Control T. I'm going to hold down the Control key and do a little stretching. not to make the boat too long. You know, you just play with it a little bit, get it where you want it. And hit enter. Turn off the layers below it. And then to do your cropping. All right, up to there, down to there, into there. And a little bit of healing, and that's fixed. Now you can, there's still some distortion, so you can fix that a little bit by hitting the straighten that guy up there and straighten up the sailboat, the mast, and hit enter, crop again. And there you go. But Photoshop doesn't do as good a job as Adobe Camera Raw. And I'm sure when Joe shows us what he can do in Lightroom, it's going to be the same as Camera Raw because they have the same engine. I'm going to make the same panorama in this program that I found.
Wait.
Oops, okay.
Two things. There was a question about how you were doing the distortion fix.
Okay,
You can do that, and can you slow down, because a couple people seem to have a lag between what you're showing them, what you're saying and what you're showing them. There's a little bit of a
Okay.
lag.
gotcha. I understand that. Okay, I already got rid of that. I can't get it back. But what I can show you is how let me just get rid of this. And I'm going to make a layer below it just so that it's not the only layer. If I go to edit, transform, there's different ways to transform, but Control and T, or wait a minute. There's free transform, Control and T. Gives you handles in the corners and on the sides. So what you can do is hold down your Control key or Command key if you're on a Mac, and you can just do part of it. Just do one of the handles. If you want to straighten something or do something, you can drag one corner and stretch it out. Or you could hit escape and it goes back. Did that help you understand the transforming that I did? Control T or Command T lets you distort the layer. The only problem with that is if you have a background layer, you can't do it. If it's got a, let me get rid of this. If it's Layer, I'm just gonna make this into a background layer. I'm not sure how to do that anymore. All right, let me go to one of the other images. This one. This has got a lock on it. It's a background layer. A background layer means you can't make adjustments. You can't paint on it. You can't transform it. You pretty much can't do anything. It just sits there. If you uncheck, if you click on the lock, it goes away. But before I do that, I'm going to show you. I'm going to hit edit. I cannot free transform. It's grayed out because that can't be transformed. I also can't paint on it. If I take a paintbrush, oh, it can. Well, son of a gun. I didn't think that would happen. Never mind. Maybe it's a different kind of, I should have known better because you can do content aware on it. So anyway, which is what you would do here, but all right.
They said, yes, that helped, and thank you.
Okay, good. It's hard to hear without somebody asking it right then, and saying, okay, got it. Okay, I'm gonna do, I found a program on the web that's a lot more simplistic than Photoshop. And I've got a handout that I'm gonna send out right after tonight's meeting. That'll give you all this information, including the links to this. This one's called PhotoPad. And if you want to make a panorama in PhotoPad, you can go like this. It's free. You can purchase it if you're going to use it for commercial purposes. But for what we do, we don't need to pay anything. And from what I could tell, I was reading it, I couldn't see that there was any difference in the program. Like you don't get any added functionality if you pay for it. So let's see. We're going to add images to this. And I'm going to do, great. I'm going to use a different folder. Control all. Open. The problem with this folder, with this program, let me see if I can make this a little larger. I can't. Okay. Is that it needs to be in order. So you can't. You have to have them in order from left to right. So it can, before it photo merges.
Vicki, are you moving that around or is it?
Yes, I'm clicking and I'm dragging it. You can only drag it one at a time, and I had to get it in order.
Okay.
Or I could have done this. I could have done this and move right, or done that and move left. Okay. So now I want a preview of what it'll look like. And if you like the way it looks, because you don't get other choices, there's not much you can do. You click OK. and it will create your panorama. And these are JPEGs, so even though this feels slow, it'd be a lot slower if I were using raw images. When it does the 3, the previous one, it does it really fast. Now with this one, you really have to crop it because there's no way to stretch in this program. I guess the other way you could do it is take it into Photoshop and use content-aware fill, but that kind of defeats the purpose because this is for people who don't have Photoshop. So what you do is you crop. And why is it? Oh, it's got a fixed thing here. Okay. Why is that? Huh. Reset. Okay. Okay, so I want to get up to the corners and I want to get it down to the corners. And there you have a photorama, and this one's free. A photorama, geez, a panorama. Sorry about that. And that's it. You can make it larger, do a little cleanup, but the tools in this program are a little bit lacking if you're used to Photoshop. So I think you can play with it, you can learn it. There are, one of the things that this program has is some amazing help. This is the website, and if you go to support, they've got videos to help you with all the things you want to do. So for somebody who doesn't want to spend the money on Photoshop or can't afford it, or even on any other programs, this is a good way to go. And I have the link in the paper, in the handout you're going to be getting. Okay. So let's just see if, oh, maybe it's not, whatever. Try to figure out how to menu, doesn't have a close. Okay. Don't save. Okay. Now, remember I said I don't use a tripod? Those other pictures, I'm going to just show you a couple of things and why I don't use a tripod. First of all, if you like to shoot HDR, by the way, this Adobe Camera Raw will let you, this one's 3 exposures of 3 different pictures. I'm just gonna create one of these to show you. Let's open those. Oh, wait, open the camera raw. Okay, all of the pictures are there. Control all. I'm hitting Control A to select all of these, just so you know. Then I'm going to click on one and I'm going to merge to HDR panorama. And watch this. I mean, look at that. Okay, we could fill it. But I don't think that works really well as if we boundary warp it. And that's our panorama for that. That's an HDR panorama.
And I'm sorry, what tool is this in?
This is in Adobe Camera Raw.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Done. Okay. When I was at Photoshop World in Orlando, one of the instructors told us that we could take pictures, scatter pictures, and combine them into an HDR. Back then, it really didn't work as well, but now things have changed so much that open a camera raw. This is a sunset over the Orlando Conference Center. And they're all, you can see they're all different exposures and everything. Control A, select them all. Merge to panorama. And it works really quickly. And look at that, all the colors blended. And I'm not even gonna bother to fill edges. This one is, if you, okay. Okay, so I'm gonna merge that and keep it. And it'll open back up in a camera raw as one of the photos. And zoom into it. And look at that.
Vicki, I have a comment
Yes.
that came through. HDR panorama will only work in Adobe Camera Raw if you have shot the photos using modern lenses. Vintage lenses without modern electronic confound the Camera Raw program.
Okay.
EAMHIKT. I have no idea what those letters, that acronym is for.
I don't either. And I didn't know that, so that's good to know. Okay, so this is, I mean, if you look at this way off in the distance, there's like factories going on there. And in here, there they are. So you're never going to be able to get the whole effect of this. If we were using this image for a panorama, for a competition, the judge is not going to be able to see the detail in all this, but it's there. And that's what's really cool about this. And one of the pictures, one of the samples that I was playing around with this, and I just was looking in a folder, and this is from Disney World. And these were not shot for panorama. Actually, these three, they weren't shot for a panorama. And I mean, you can see that they're just like, this one's down here and that one's up there. And I said, let me see what would happen. Never mind. Control Z. Okay. I'm going to open in camera raw. Control A, left click, merge to panorama. And and I think that looks pretty good, especially since it was just a bunch of random shots. Another thing that I didn't know Photoshop did. Okay, say done. Is straighten. This is one of the ones from the class that I took the other photos from. These photos, if you look at them, they're all over the place again. Their buildings are pointing in different directions. There's an angle, that one's tilted to the right. And if I hit all of these, open them in camera raw. I just want to show you that you don't have to take perfect pictures. Control A, whoops. And don't know where that was going. Merge to panorama. Now this one is not going to be as good as the other ones because it's got a lot of distortion over here. So if I tried to fill the edges, it's kind of funky over here, and it kind of works, but that one's tilted that way. This one's still tilted that way a little bit. So let's see what happens if we hit the, so the buildings, we can make the buildings a little better. We don't have to go to 100% for that. So the buildings are a little straighter, which can be done later on in post-processing if you want to fix it. And then we can crop it. So if we save that one.
Vicki,
Yes.
the question is there a limit to the number of images you can use when creating a panoramic?
I don't believe so.
5 in here?
I've seen it done with like 20 or 30. It's going to be prepared to make yourself a cup of coffee, especially if your computer isn't super fast. But let's see. So this is here. Now I would crop it. So I'm going to take that down there and crop that into there. And I have to go in there a little further than that notch because the windows are totally distorted. So that's a little better. And then that. And now you can play around with warping and puppet warp and all kinds of other tools in Photoshop to straighten them. But I think that's pretty good considering what it started with. If you look on the left and look at these images.
Which brings me to the next question that has popped up.
Yeah.
How current a version of Photoshop is necessary to have this capability?
You have to have Photoshop CC. Prior to the subscription, that's when I was told to do those other things, and it never worked as well. I don't know if the older versions, if you can make a panorama in Adobe Camera Raw. I don't know when that started, but I think you might need to have the CC. And
I know you can do it in an older version of Photoshop. I'm trying to think of.
you can make a panorama.
Yeah,
You can merge to a panorama, but I don't think you could do it in Camera Raw.
no, it had to be in Photoshop.
Right.
And it's CS6 for the person who asked.
Yeah, you could do it in PS6. You could do it even before that, I think. But I don't think. Let me open this image and show you a little bit how that distortion can help this a little. If we take this, and I like to duplicate it so that I don't totally screw things up. But if I hit Control T and hit the control and click on the corner, I could straighten that building a little. And the same thing on the other side. I'm going to have to. Oh, no, that goes out that way. There you go. It takes a little playing around with it, but that's how I would straighten it up. And this building is almost perfectly straight. And that's it. Does anybody have any other questions? See, that's before, and that's after I straightened it. And that's it. For Photoshop, Adobe Camera Raw, and PhotoPad.
Okay. And someone's asked, just to confirm, you use 4 images, upper left, upper right, lower left, lower right for this particular image, or were there more?
For this particular image? No. This
Okay.
one I had, hold on. Oh.
And they weren't in order, correct?
Right, these were all over the place. Look at them. See, this building only shows up there, there, and there. And the same thing with the convention center one. If I control that. These are like They're lighter, darker. And they're not, some of them are higher than the others. And then this is what turned out. And I mean, I just love the detail in it when you zoom in, because you can't see it without zooming in.
Another question came in while you're zooming in.
Okay.
It says, is the free program only Android?
No, it is Android, Mac, phone, tablet. It's not Android, it's PC, Mac, Android, and iPad. It's for all of them. Actually, let me see. Here you go. Can you see it there? Those are how you can even put it on your Kindle. And on Linux. So there's your choices. This, like I said, I have this link in the handout I'm giving you. Any other questions?
Oh, thank you, Vicki.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope this helped.
I don't know if this is a question you can ask or answer, or if Joe can. But
What's that?
Does anyone know of an app that allows a cell phone to do a panel shot, not using the basic Apple iPhone camera? Just wondering. I know my phone has a panel option.
Yeah, in the phone, they all do.
Yeah, the problem would be is if I don't know if you can, if you have Lightroom, you can actually do certain. I don't think it works with the panel from the phone. That's the problem, because you can take raw images using your using a Lightroom on the camera itself. So you can actually get raw images through that if you're not if the newer cameras I think have raw images. So some of I think the 13s and all like that, the more up to date ones have some other ones there. So you'd have to look at something along those lines. But I don't know of anything right now that can do the panel itself. You'd have to take without the camera itself, without the camera doing it. You could do it with just taking the individual things and then stitching them together, but that would be where we are at this point, doing it the same way.
It would be silly to try.
Okay.
That's all the questions in the chat.
Okay, anybody who has any questions can email me too.
So Joe, do you have a bio that you shared, or do you want to?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Okay. It's all you. Do we want to take a quick 5-minute break?
Yeah, why don't we do that? Why don't we do that? See if I can get the sharing? I don't know if I can. I have trying to share and I can't seem to get to do it right now. I want to get that out of the way.
Should have that capability.
All right. So Matt, can you put 5 minutes on the clock? And
Yeah, I'll put up a 5-minute timer, and then timer.
I'm having a problem getting my share started on this thing, so let's see if we can get that out of the way. You have me as a presenter then or not?
Yeah, you're a co-host, so you should be able to. What, Vicky, where did you find the share on your screen?
At the bottom of the screen, it says share screen, green. It's in green.
Oh, okay.
And then you have to, if you want to switch from one screen to another, once you've shared it, share the screen, the upper left one, when you go in, when you hit that.
I'm having a,
Because if you share one of your windows, you're only going to share that window.
Let me revoke you as a co-host and remake you a co-host, see if that changes.
okay.
Give me a second here.
Revoke you.
I'm going to revoke you as well, Vicky.
That's okay. I don't need it anymore unless somebody wants me to show them something.
Normally just share the screen and it goes, so.
Yeah, I mean, I have it. I think I have it set up to only co-hosts and hosts can do it. So you should have share capability now, though.
I'm not seeing it.
I'll stop sharing so that
Yeah, let's try that.
it should be at the bottom there. It's
Yeah,
bright
I've
green.
got it.
Yours could be at the top as well. It should, just says share screen.
I'm just trying to find, yeah, I'm just trying to,
It's right next to the chat window for me.
I'm not getting it for some reason. I don't know why. Huh,
Broke it.
yeah. Let me go. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna exit and come back in, okay? Let me just try that.
Joe is sharing. Oh, but he can't unmute himself. Where'd you go? There, here. You have to unmute yourself, Joe, if you want to talk. All right, our 5 minutes is up. And let's try to unmute Joe. You should be able to unmute yourself, Joe.
Hi, never mind, I got it.
There we go. We hear you.
Okay. Okay, I think we got it.
Joe, you're in a loop. Are you okay?
What?
You're in a loop. It's going from your how to create to your agenda back to how to create.
That was me hitting it.
Okay.
That was me. I'm just hitting the buttons, making sure. Okay. That's good. That's why I wanted to start at the beginning. How's that? Now, what can you see at the top?
We see a picture of, I don't know where you are, but then how to create a panoramic photo with your name and date.
Okay, you don't see the there's some the annotation stuff and things like that at the top.
No.
Okay, good. That's what I want to make sure. That's Death Valley.
Beautiful Death Valley. Our break is over. You can start anytime.
We back?
Yes.
Okay. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm getting over a little cold or a little flu. So, I mean, essentially some of what I'm going to be doing is probably similar to what Vicki did. What I'm going to do is just give an idea of how some of the ways that some of the ways I do panoramics, where I have done it or been taught to do it. So just give you an idea. So what we're going to look at here tonight is methods for creating a panoramas. Using a cell phone. That everybody's got one, so just do a real quick say, here's how it does, maybe give a couple of examples. Now, also there are cameras, some point shoot cameras that you have that may have a panoramic feature on it, so you can actually do that. So I happen to have one, and I'm going to show that how to use that. That sometimes I ran into a little problem with it earlier this week when I was trying to do something. I had to go from a wide down to a shorter one. So I was, playing with it. So you have to get familiar with your own camera. Looking at this, then how to shoot it with the, again, how we shoot with a DSLR, some other things there, and then stitching them together, and considerations for what's important to building panoramics. Pre-processing images and what I generally do to pre-process them. I know you don't necessarily need to, but I like to make sure that the images start with something that looks about the same, so you can actually sort of stitch them together without that. And then finally, how to actually we'll go into how to process a panoramic in Lightroom, and I'm going to show a little bit through Bridge. So that's part of what I was going to do tonight. So I'm going to start off with the simplest method, the cell phone, okay? You have to access your cell phone camera, select the pano mode. You click the button to start it, and then you're going to move it to the right, follow the arrow. And then when you get done, you'll click it again, and you'll capture finish the capture at that point. And generally, these are actually done as JPEGs. So that's part of, you may have, if you're doing one, you can actually do some editing on it, but there are some limitations to it, as we all know. So essentially, here are a couple of examples. This is an area that I'm going to be using for some of the panoramics today that I'm putting together as examples. But this was shot with the cell phone. So, this I started, somewhere, started here and just, panned over. That's what we're getting there. So looking at that. Here's another one that I've done with the cell phone. This was actually in Austria, just on a lake, Hallstatt, just on off of a boat. So that's just examples of those. They're the simplest way. That's the simplest means of doing it. Now, if you have the next thing, we're going to go on to. Here's another cell phone one here. This is up at Lake Louise. Now, next one was a camera with a cell phone mode. So not the camera with a pano mode, I should say. So what you're looking at here is, you see there, the arrow is showing you there, like in the selector, in the mode selector, you can actually select the pano. And then what happens is, generally these would have some sort of a, on the back screen, there's going to be some direction. So essentially what I'm going to do is, the next image is going to show that, saying here. So, click, what it says here is click the shutter, it gives you the instructions, click the shutter and move it to the, move it in that direction. Now, in this case, you can actually, some of the cameras, you can move it to the right, you can move it to the left, with these type of things. So you can move it up and down, so you can do whichever you want there. But in this case, I just left it go this way just to show you how it does that. These are generally also captured as a JPEG. So just realize that there are limitations to this too. And here's that, again, I'm trying to use that same area just to give you an idea. I started, probably the other one was just a little bit further to the left and a little bit, I didn't get the road in this one, but that's an idea on how to shoot this. Now, you might also be limited depending upon the camera. I don't think I could actually, on this one I was working with, I don't think I was able to use the zoom on it to zoom out and get things. So that might be a limitation for what you want to do. You might want to zoom in and get a little bit more of the scene into it. So that's part of what we'd see there. So next, we're going to go on to looking at stitching images together and how we would do that. Again, I think Vicki mentioned it earlier that you want to do it in the portrait mode rather than the landscape mode. You can do it in landscape mode, but it gets real skinny. You go out a little bit ways. It works better this way. Gives you a better image. It gives you a taller image that you can work with if you want to print and get it get something that would look reasonable in a frame. What I'm showing here is, like I've got here, this is about what the images, what the overlap would be. Like I'm looking at, we have an image, we have one image that's on the left here, which is in the yellow. The next one's a green example of how you do the overlap. You'll see another yellow one in there. You'll see a green, and then in that case, so this has 5 images on it that we'd be working with and to bring these together. And when we get into, I'm going to show this in Lightroom, probably in Bridge also, so you can see what it looks like. And I've got some that might have a little more overlap, a little less overlap, so you may have to play with how much overlap you actually need. But this, I wanted to just give an example of what you should be looking for when you start to do the overlaps. So essentially, what I do, first of all, you're going to be looking at this. This is like any other thing that you're doing. You want to take a scene, you want to take a photograph. This takes a little bit more than just taking like a single shot photograph. You want to determine where you want to, what you want to have in the frame, where you want the starting point is. And then what you have to do in this case, you have to make sure that there's at least a 10% overlap on the images from moving from each individual area. Now this can be done by hand or by on a tripod. And later on, I may show something, just give an idea what we're talking about on the tripod. Now, what you would do is you start with at least the first frame, continue to move the camera over until you've captured everything that you're working with. And then, that's really what you're looking at. You just want to capture, how many images you want. It could be 3, could be 5. I think I've done as many as like 18 at one point. So I've done quite a few at looking at this. So, but I've got, usually keep it like 10, a minimum of 10, a maximum of 10 to 12, something along those lines. Now, if you're out shooting a lot, some people I've heard this before, where if you're out and you're taking lots of photographs and you want to say, well, I know I'm going to be taking more photographs, you may want to consider, and this is for when you're shooting, to put a marker in at the beginning of it, at the beginning of the panoramic and at the end. Something like, putting your hand up in front of the in front of the lens, saying this, for identifying where it's going to be at the beginning of it and at the end. So this way, where they are in the series that you've taken for that day. Maybe a black frame or something like that. So this way, just an idea on how you can actually identify this. And generally, sometimes I do that when I'm also doing things like if I shoot in HDR. So, just a little bit of an idea what to do with that. So once you have your images uploaded to your computer, you look at the series and the images to be stitched. Generally, what I do is I generally select one image to edit. I generally like to get my base edits done. And then what I do is if I get the edits on that, I then would actually synchronize all the edits so that all of them have the same the same settings on it. So this way you're generally shooting in the same direction. So this way you don't have to worry about it. You get your tones are fairly close in doing that. I know that there's things that'll actually blend the images. This will help a little bit with the blending, is the way I feel about it. Now, if you do normally put vignettes into each of your individual photographs, I generally suggest removing that. I generally have a preset that does that for me. So whenever I'm doing panoramics, I go in and I take that off and then synchronize them. So that's part of what we're dealing now. Again, back to, I think, something that Vicki mentioned. Generally, I do shoot manual. So that's one of those things. Plus, you really probably don't have to worry about too much of the focus at that point. So if you can lock your focus, you can then just move the camera across that too. So that's another thing. I generally use a back button focusing on those. Just a little aside. And then once you've had the, and now we're back to the editing of the images. Once you completed your edits, you can actually go in and synchronize the edits. And this way they all get the same information. Once you've done that, that's when I'm ready to go combine them into a panorama. So,
Joe,
yes,
before you move on,
yes,
there's a question of, can you explain how to synchronize your edits?
I will show that when I get into the Lightroom. How's that? But I can show you that they can be done in Lightroom and in Lightroom and in Lightroom and in also Camera Raw. There's generally, you'd select your one image that you want to work with, then you'd highlight all the other images, and then there's usually a synchronize button, which will allow you to make the adjustments to everything. But I'll show you where that is when I get into Lightroom, though, so that you can see where it is. So we can do that. Just remind me, okay?
And
But
can you
that's fine.
slow down a bit? You definitely
Yeah.
on a roll tonight.
Okay.
Do you have some soda today? You're not supposed to be drinking soda.
No, I haven't had soda in ages. I really haven't. I'm just,
Just
I'm back.
excited.
I'm back
Okay.
in my normal work mode. How's that? Plow through. So, okay. So really what now we're going to do is we're going to get into the creating the panoramic. So what I'm going to do is give you an idea of here. So what we have here is, these 5 images down here that you see in this here are the images that I've already modified, and those are the ones that I want to put together and create into a panoramic. So what you're going to do is, once they're all selected, you in the menu in Lightroom, you're going to go to the photo in the menu. And then in the photo, there's a photo merge. And I'm going to show that coming up next. So essentially, this is where this is from the photo. These are the menu items that you're going to get from there. So essentially, it's going to photo merge. You're going to select panoramic. And then what happens is you can either select panoramic or an HDR panoramic. I generally do just a panoramic at this point. And then what will happen is you'll get the following window. Now, this looks sort of similar to something that Vicki was showing earlier, but one of the things you have some choices that you can make. you can play around and actually make choices as to how you want the perspective to look for the image. So these things here, like this spherical, the cylindrical, or perspective, will give you the ability to change. It'll change the image a little bit. So you can look at those, and those are choices that you can make. And this is when you can look at it and say which one you like better before going on and doing anything else with the image. So it just gives you an idea. It might broaden the image. It might make it small, reduce the size of it a little bit. But those are the type things that you could see with this. So that there. Now again, Vicki mentioned about the boundary warp, warp, and that's also here. It's the same type thing, which is the engines are very similar, but then there's the fill edges, and then if you but then you can also do auto crop if you wanted to do that. So you have a couple of other things that you'll be able to do. In this case, if everything, if you have, in this case up here, it's showing, there's some other things to notice on the window. It says, well, like here at the very top where you see merge images to panoramic, it's actually saying 1 of 5 images were unable to be merged. So what it says is that one of the images, they couldn't get an overlap or couldn't recognize where to put it. So this is where it just drops it out of the panoramic. So it's going to be based upon 4 images at this point. So if there was an image that you accidentally put in, it would just say, yeah, okay, I'm not using this one, drops it on the floor, and it goes on from there. So that's what we're looking at. But this gives you an idea of what the actual window looks like that you're going to be working with. Okay. See if I can get my Lightroom working now, if that comes up. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is you can see the Lightroom, you can see that, correct?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. So I'm going to look down here. I happen to know that I have images that I happen want to look at here, or I happen to have them set up so I'd be ready to go with this. So I actually have, sorry about that. I hit a wrong button there. My Silverfast wants to come up. So what we're looking at here is I'm going to select there are 5 images here, and this is where I was talking about earlier. You can see, I'm going to make them a little larger. See, like here, I've got you can see the overlap here, this tree here, and this tree here, these 2 trees here. This one here has this. This is one of those ones that I said I have an extra one in here, an extra image. And you can see here, this we could actually use this image, this image, this image, and then this one to come up with it if we needed to. But this will give us this. So we'd select the images. Okay, we've got them selected. We go up here to the photo merge.
Wait.
Yep.
Would this be a good time to show how to synchronize?
Well, I'll hold on. Let me,
Okay.
yeah, might be an idea. Okay, yeah, that'd be a good idea. That's a good place. Okay, so if I'm in the develop mode, okay, and you have one image, let's say I think I took this image is what I did. So what you do is that has all my edits on it there. Okay, so then what you do is you just take that image and go, you'd sync it right here. And then what I would do is just sync it with that one there, and just that synchronizes that. And then what I would do here is just make sure that I have them all here. And then I synchronize it here, and it gets the same settings.
Slow down.
Okay. So essentially it's you have the image that you've edited. That's the one I selected. Okay. So then what I want to do is I all the other ones that I want to deal with or put in there, I go sync. And then this here is, now if you don't want to have all, this is a window that comes up that syncs all the settings that it has. And this is all your development settings. There's a separate one for there's a separate sync for your metadata, but this is for the editing here. So if you had things where if you were looking at, if you had like spots in the image that since you're shooting it in the same place, you'd be doing that. You might have the spot removal, which would go from all across all images. You could do this, but this is going to do all your white balances, anything else that you have, and things like that. So essentially, when you synchronize it, you'll see a little thing there, and it's actually, you look at it, they all have the same. They all now have the same settings on it. So that's how you synchronize. Does that answer the question about how to synchronize?
He said, yes, thank you.
Okay. So what I'm going to do here is, now I've got the images. There are the 6 images. I'm going to go up here into photo, and we're going to go photo merge, and we're going to go into panorama. Now, again, you saw this window earlier, but this is the live window, and we'll look at how I'll go through some of the stuff, some of those perspectives that we're looking at. You can see what happens, and some of it has a big change, some of it has a little change. So right now it's on perspective. Okay, it's one of the projections that it's dealing with. Okay, so in this case, first of all, looking at this merge image, we have 5 images that merge, so that's pretty good. We have it there. Now I'm going to go here. Spherical would do it. You'll see the image there. It does, the perspective does one thing. Spherical is going to do this. It's going to build up this. So you're going to see that it gives you that type of it changes the image a little bit to give it a little bit of a different perspective. And that's part of what you're looking at. And I think it's also in the I believe it's also, this is the same engine that's in the camera raw. So this is the same type thing that can be done there. Again, now the cylindrical, would be another one. Be another option that we could look at here. So this gives you that. You can see what it's going to do. It's going to build that. So, you see it didn't change all that much. Then we go back to the perspective, and this is where I think we'll see on that. That's where it gives you an idea. That's sort of how the camera saw everything as you moved it. So essentially, that's what you're looking at with that information as it's running. Now, again, the boundary warp is here. If you want to do that, that's one way of doing it. You have the fill edges here, which would do that. It depends. The image, this one here, it's not that, it's a relatively easy image. It's going to do a fairly decent job of putting this together and filling in and doing essentially the actual content aware fill based upon this. It takes a little while for this to work. For this one to do this. Any week now, let's go. So there it is. So that doesn't look too bad, for this one. And that's for this image. Now take it back, and if you want, you can also use the auto crop, which would also give you it would also crop for you. So you have a couple of different options that you could work with at that point. So essentially what you're dealing with, once you get this, once you determine which way you want to use it, well, in this case, I'm going to use go use the fill edges. If I can remember to keep the thing clicked. And then once you're done with that, you merge it, and it's going to create what it's going to do is it's going to take those images and put it into it's going to merge it into a panoramic. And it's going to give you a new file name, which has the pano, PANO in as part of the file name. So this is the way it's going to actually address it and give you what you're looking at.
Can you
Takes a
show the
little
metadata. Yeah, when it comes up, can you show the metadata for
Yes.
the panel
Yeah.
so they can see that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Actually, as you can see, I created it already. I made sure I could do this made sure I had it already. Okay, so now we have a second one. So you see here, see the image here. Here it is here. Here's the pano, what it is there. So it's got 6 images as part of it. So here, so if we want to go back to library, you can start to see here, and you can start to see. So, there's not a lot of information here. I didn't put any, in this case, I had not added any keywords to it. I normally add keywords when I do stuff, but that would be there. But here's what you're looking at here. It gives you this information. It gives you the pano, gives you that's the file name, what folder it's in, information here. So it gives you an idea of here's the width of it. So essentially it's 68. It's what is it, 13,180 pixels wide by 6,833 pixels. So it gives you that, and then it just gives you all the other information about what it was taken at. And these were generally taken at the because of the focal length, because all those were taken at the same focal length at the same time with the same apertures and all like that. So essentially that's what you're looking at. So that's really this is really the easiest, it's that easy to make one. Now from here, you can take this and start editing it as you normally would in Lightroom or Photoshop. You can then use all the other tools if you want to put gradients on it, do anything else. That's all available to you now. And generally you do that after you've actually got the image into the panel. Okay. Questions?
There was a question whether or not this creates a DNG file, but then once you change the library, we saw it in the title, so we said never mind.
Yeah, it always creates a DNG. I'm using nothing but I'm using raw files here. And I believe if you also did JPEGs, it would also create a DNG file as a result of it. But what it does is it does create the DNG is how it creates it. So it gives you the file name. It's not raw at that point, not NEF. It gives you the Adobe version of DNG, their generic digital negative. Okay, so that's really what it does.
Okay, so I have a comment and another question. Someone says, yes, if you use JPEG, it will create a DNG.
Yeah.
And then there was another question that says, what happens when we resize leading edges to 1050?
Well, what you're going to do is it's just going to take the whole image. It's going to take like in this case, it'll take the dimensions this down to 1050 down to whatever it is. If I were to do this, if we were to take that, that's really what it would do. The image would become, you'd have it at 1050 going across, and it'd be probably, I don't know, probably about 600 tall is really what it would be, something along like that. It'd just be a ratio of what this would be. If for our images that we're dealing with are for when we upload it. So you'll have to you will have to use that image for that, but that's a requirement of the software that we're using to do the uploads. So it will what you want to do is resize the longest side down to 1050. Now you have to realize, and I'm going to show one later on, you don't have to take panoramics, horizontal. You can go vertical with them too. So you can do it that way. I have an example of one. It's not as successful as I'd like, but I just want to think about other things that you could do with it, other ways that you could work with it. So that's essentially.
There's one more question, but I'm not sure what it means. It just says rookie.
Huh?
Yeah. John, do you want me to unmute you so you can ask your question? I don't know what that means. Hold on.
Yeah, we have to resize to 1050
Right.
for competition.
Right.
Does that distort the panorama anymore?
No, it's actually, let me just in fact, okay, how about this? How about this? I'm going to export this one out and you'll see what it looks like. Oh, I actually have it there. Well, actually, I already have it out there. How's that?
All right, well, you're going from 13,180, right, down
Right.
to 1050.
Right. So
That's
all it's
really
going to
gonna
do,
shrink your
so
picture.
all it's going to do is let me show you what it looks like. And I'm going to bring, I'm just redoing it right now. So it's actually in my area where we actually have the image is located. That's why, trying to keep it down to like in this case, this is a 5. This is a 5 image panoramic, okay?
Right.
So essentially what happens is, as you get more, you're going to get that the height of that is going to change a little bit. So that's why, and if you were shooting in a horizontal mode, in the landscape mode, that thing will get puny real quick. So that's part of what you have to watch for.
That would actually make it better, yeah.
Yeah, this one makes it better. This one makes it a little bit more visible. And so what you're looking at here is, let's go back up here and see here. I did most of these. I did a couple of these yesterday where because I'm putting them into the presentation. Here's what it looks like when I put it in here. That's at 1050. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And I'm using, that happens to be in what is.
You check off maintain aspect ratio, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So really what happens is this one here is just, this happens to be in what is it? It's preview in Mac. So that's part of what this is. So that's showing you what it looks like. So this is what you would end up uploading. This is a 1050 JPEG. Okay. I have some other ones here too, which let me see. Which one's a longer one? Let me just see this one here. See, that one there is a longer one too, but that's also, I think I did this one to 2000, just so that I could, for the presentation, I could work with that. But this could be made smaller and into a 1050 without an issue.
What size is that now?
That is, let me see, the size on that one is, no, I think preview will tell me that. I think this one's this one's 2000. I believe I made it 2000 is what I did. I'm just trying to find out. Don't use this one much for my, I just use this one here. Tools, magnifier, color adjust size.
Can you right click on it and just see properties?
No. I'm doing right here, pixels. So this one here is 2000 by 600. Okay.
Okay.
So that's what you're looking at in that case. That's
you're going to downsize that by about 50%.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Is that going to distort the picture when you do it?
It shouldn't, because you're actually, I don't think it will, because I've already taken this down from like a 13 or 14,000 across down to this. I mean, you can look in here. I mean, I'm at, it's not like upsizing. You downsizing, you have a little bit more of a, the information does it there. I mean, it should be fine for bringing it up. I mean, everybody's going to be in the same boat with you. Okay. Downsizing them. So we're all going to be, we're going to have to look at that.
Upsized that it's, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's upsizing it depends on in the new versions of Photoshop, you can upsize your raw images. You can double the sizes of them. So that's one of those things that you can do. And then you can play with it from there. But in this case, you're going to be bringing it down. So pretty much generally you get the pixelation when it goes the other direction. This way things might be, this is where things are going to get squashed a little bit is really what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
So.
And a comment came in that said, yes, if you keep the aspect ratio, it will not distort.
Right.
Right.
Thank you.
So, okay. So now I'm just going to go show a couple of other, show some examples of this. Okay. Oh, well. Well, we're going to, okay, Lightroom demo. Okay. The other thing I was going to do is I'm going to show in Bridge. Okay. This was the other one I was going to do. I mean, probably similar to what Vicki did, but it's a little, I think it works a little differently the way that the way that they're looking at it. And this would be in Bridge, if you have your images edited, like, remember I said, I like to keep my images sort of like do the synchronization on them. Well, you can do that in actually in Photoshop, and what is it in Camera Raw. This essentially with the way I did it in Lightroom. So essentially what you want to do in this case is you're going to select the images that you want to do, and that you want to actually stitch together. You're actually going to go to the tools menu and select the Photoshop menu. Okay, that's how we do it and this is in Bridge. So what that does, that tools gives you Photoshop. It brings up here under tools, select Photoshop, select photo merge. This will open, then this is going to end up opening a window that looks like this. Now this is another way of doing it. This one doesn't have some of the other controls that it does in the other area, but you have things like here where you're going to look at, it's going to do a vignette removal. That's if you put one on, if you have them on the images, it should remove those from there. You're looking at geometric distortions, which are there. I've not used this method a lot. I generally do most of my stitching in Lightroom, but I thought this is another one to look at. And then the other thing in this case would be to use your content aware fill for what you're dealing with. Now, again, you can see over on the left-hand side, there are some layout type things here. In this case, I generally use auto. You can use the perspective, the cylindrical, the spherical. There's a collage type thing, which will put things in a different play. And then there's one that you can actually I think you can actually physically reposition it. I haven't used that one a lot, but I think I've done it and I've tested it once or twice, but that's another option that you have when you're dealing with that. So, once you select what you want, I generally start, as I said, I start with auto. I might play with this a little bit, like to get familiar with what each of the things does, but this is one way that you can look at it and say, yeah, which way works the best for you and which one do you like the best? That's really what you're after, is which one is aesthetically pleasing to yourself. So essentially what happens is once you click that button, what you get is in this case, you can see on the right-hand side, you get the panoramic. This is one that I did the fill in, and you can see how Photoshop made the decisions as to how it was going to put that image together. It actually shows you the masks that it put to get it there. So that's the one thing about it. And then that's what you can then go on from here and then edit further the image. So that's part of what you can do here. But this is where it starts with that, and then that would be your layer, and then you can build on top of that and start putting any other edits that you do there. So doing that one, see the bridge. Essentially, I have it, essentially what we're looking at here is, I think I did it with, I'm going to show you what happens if you if you have images that don't fit, you can have some strange consequences with that. Like I know this one here is going to be an issue with it. These two are going to be issues. They're not going to be there. So I'm not going to bring those in right now, but I'm going to I've got one, two, three, four. I've got these here images here. I'm going to go up into tools, Photoshop, photo merge. Oh, let me go back and do that again. I think I had it already. Yeah, I had it already. I had done it earlier just to make sure what was going on. So what you can look at here is, again, you can take a look at these again. I'm going to just use auto at this point. I'm going to use the geometric distortions and do the content aware fill and hit OK. And it'll start to work. Takes a little time. And it's working still. And there we have it. Essentially, you go over here, look at that. Again, you can see here are the, if you wanted to, you can actually go in here and look at this and see what it does, how it put the images together. So essentially what this is doing is showing you how the software has decided to stitch the pieces together. And then that's the one that has the content aware fill in. That's essentially it. Then you'd save it and you can start working on it. Questions?
Nothing new in chat.
Okay. So what I'll do next is just sort of say, come back here and just, so show some examples of some of the other ones that I've done over the years. I mean, essentially, this one here probably has 5 or 6 images on it and maybe a little more than that. This is another one that probably has 6 or 8 images on it, maybe a little more. This one has a lot more. That one I showed earlier, that's the one there. So essentially that was that one that's 2000 by 600 or something like that. So you might actually get something like it'll be probably somewhere around a 1050 by maybe about 300, something along those lines, what you're looking at there. But these are some examples of what I've done over a period of time, looking at it. And here I've got a building. This is one where this is probably about 8 or 10 in it. This was shot on a tripod. You do get some of the bowing in it from that, but I mean, essentially looking at this, again, this is one that I did the work. I did I took the images and then actually synchronized them and did that, get them together. Just goes together better that way. Now, I think in the newer versions, it may have been upgraded with the way that it blends it, but in the older ones, you needed to do a little more work on them. So that's part of what you're looking at there. Again, this is where this is when I tried just to say, okay, can I do this? This is more a fun time, just something to try. Instead of doing a horizontal, do a vertical, see what happens with it. This one, it's not as successful as I'd like it to be, but it gives you an idea that you can have fun with it. Questions?
I don't have any more in chat unless
Okay.
people are frantically typing. Does anyone want to come off mute and ask a question? Getting a bunch of thank yous.
Good. Now they're fun to do. I generally shoot when I go away someplace, travel. I usually do at least 1 or 2 whenever I travel. There's one I did. There's one that I remember doing that I like is actually in Vienna, there's a Schönbrunn Palace. they've got a ruins of a sort of a fake ruins of a Roman ruins. I did one of that. I just didn't show it, but it's an interesting one because the shapes are all, it's very different what you can put, how you can put things together. Okay. If anybody has any questions or needs help on anything, email me. My email's on the in the listing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Joe and Vicki. I actually feel inspired to go out and try something other than my cell phone.
It's not that hard to, it's you start doing it after a while. It's like, okay, it takes a little, there's sometimes if you really want to get a good one, a little planning helps a little bit. And it's not that much planning, tell you the truth. It's just saying, okay, I had to do the overlap. Okay, that's the big thing. And if you get a little bit too much overlap, that's okay. You just take more photographs and blend them together.
Hey, Joe, a question did come in.
Yes.
What would a judge be looking for? So in a panorama, what would they be looking for? Maybe what would they take points off for? How about that?
That's a good question. I've been thinking about it. It's like any other photograph. Things like think of things like, like what do we keep hearing? Oh, I don't like the bright spot there. Or, you're going to look at things like is focus there? Is it a relatively well focused image? Generally, panoramics you're actually a little bit further away, so you have probably a better shot at things being in focus. Is what I'm looking at. But just it might be how how you if you edit it a little bit more, how you to make the image a little bit more. There might be one like let's say like the this one here, the skies on this one, this is the sunset, and it's just that there are some things that I've done on this one to make sure that the pinks are there a little bit more. So those are things that it might highlight it. The judge may say it's a little bit more oversaturated, but with the way that it is, the sunset, I really like the image, and when it's on a metallic piece of paper, it looks really good. Or like this one here, this is another one where that's essentially what you can enhance the light. So you're bringing the image there. Or this one, how you can draw your image, how you can draw the dappled light in here. You might be able to enhance that a little bit, like with things like in Lightroom, you have this the elliptical the radial filters and all like this. You can lighten those areas, maybe warm some areas up, add a little color to them. So it might be just sort of how you can actually also deal with things, how you can actually make the image pop a little bit more. That's what I would look at. And just is it aesthetically pleasing? Is that it? That good enough?
John, do you want to elaborate on that? I can take you off mute. Another person said they will probably look for distortion, bright spots in color. Color looks correct.
Yeah, making sure that everything looks correct, that it meets, things like that. Look, and also look for, one of the things I'd look for in this is that the one thing about panoramics, if you take it with the dirty sensor, you're going to see the same spots in the same spot across each of the images. So be careful of that. I've had to go back and do lots of work on a couple. After I printed, it's a 12 by 36 image, I found spots, and it's like, you have to watch that. That would be one thing to look to.
Okay, that's all I see in chat. Excuse me.
Okay.
I think we're done. Thank you, Vicki and Joe.
Welcome.
Debbie, are you still there?
am, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, thank you again. This was really inspiring.
I see some great panos.
Yeah, beautiful photos.
Yeah, as I said, they're fun to do. That's just something, it's something different, you know?
Okay.
I mean, even with this phone, sometimes, you know, I mean, sometimes what I use my phone for is just to make sure that take a picture when I'm someplace, get the location so that I can actually attach it. Because you could actually synchronize the location from your phone to the photo in Lightroom too. So you can actually do the location and synchronize just that in the what is it, in the library area. So this way it gives you an idea. Like then you can start to see because Lightroom has a map operation, so you can actually see where you can see where your images are, you know, on the map. It could be the world map, and if you've traveled enough, you've got places in Europe, you know, South America, whatever. You can see where they pop up.
Never
Matt,
see
do you
to
wanna
make
stop
this with me,
recording?
Joe.
Pardon? Pardon?
Oh, there's one more question that
I
pops up.
said, you never cease to amaze me.
Well, it's fine. You know, it's the way that, you know, sometimes you want to find out where you were. And that's a great way. You know, I've got stuff that's how I've, you know, I have to remember to take the phone out and do that. You know, that's just it. So what's the next question? You said a
Yeah.
question came in?
Easy to forget where you've been.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, that was a private message for me.
Okay.
But I do have a question, General, for the team. The gentleman in the UK said, would we be interested in starting at 6 p.m. our time? That would be 11 p.m. his time. I'm trying to push it up. I don't know why he wants to do it so late unless it's the kids on a Saturday.
I think that would be fine.
That would be fine.
Fine, me.
That would work.
I just think we should get the date
Go
out as
out
quickly
that
as
late.
possible since people tend to do things on the weekends.
Yep.